I realized something that the ultimate form of, because connection, when you really have it, it makes you feel really alive, That's why we want it. Because when you're just by yourself and you're doing things, like, sure, there's a peace and tranquility to it, but if you can do that thing in your full expression while you're doing it with someone else, or more than someone else, more than one person, like the energy built up and ultimately the feelings you feel will be so much more intense than if you were just to do it yourself. And I realize that's why we are drawn to things like crime and war. Like and horror, even though we think it's so bad, right? Like you would hate to have a horror movie happen to you in real life, but it's not, but we actually love it. We get off on it so much, right? Like that's why we watch so many shows related to all of these negative topics. Like we judge it as bad in real life, but is it bad? No, it's not. In the grand scheme of things, it's just another expression of God. It's just another way that God gets off through us. And even though our ego hates to admit it, we actually love these things. We love to experience these things because it gives us that sense of hit, that connection. It gets us off. And that's why I think fighting in our modern day society, like, if I could have it, like, it would be great if we could have a sport, just like an anime, right, where we trying to kill each other, like we fight to the death. It's not just okay. You're in an armbar and you tap someone out and then they say okay it's over and you win. No, it's like you break your shoulder gets broken, but you keep going until the fight ends. The fight ends when someone becomes unconscious or dead. Well, dead is unconscious anyway. Like that would really get me off. Like that ultimately would all because when you're in a life and death situation, that's when you're the most present. That's when you're the most alive. Like every irrelevant thought that we get through society, all the conditioning, all the bullshit that we seem to inhale, it all gets thrown out of the fucking window when your life is on the line. And when you're in that situation, that's when you get off the most. That's when you feel it the most. That's when you feel the most alive. And that's what God ultimately wants to experience. Is the intensity of aliveness, the feeling of something, of the contrast between life and death. Like, how close can you get to the edge without falling off? That's when you feel it the most. That's what we really ultimately want, right? But we're scared to go to that edge, right? Because it's terrifying, but that terror is actually what gives us ultimately the feeling of aliveness, right? So that's why I think I should do MMA. Like, I think fighting would be really good for me. And I actually have signed up, and I want to do more of it. I just worry like my face will get disfigured through fighting too much or something. That's my main concern, which will prevent me from doing other things. But man, if I could just fight and not ever get injured and not worry about like damage and shit like that, like wow, that would just be so thrilling. Because sometimes when I have an argument with someone, I realize, holy fuck, even though it seems intense in the moment, and I'm like, oh fuck this guy, the part of me is always like, oh my god, this feels so good. It feels so energizing. It feels so alive. Like finally, all the bullshit has been cut off and we're connecting on such a deep, visceral, primal level. Like there's no bullshit that comes with an argument, right? Like there's no fake smiles and fake words. It's like, no, you're in there completely and you're trying to attack each other. And that's actually when you form some of the truest and purest forms of connection. Like, if you were to just judge connection based on its purity and intensity and no judgment on whether it's good or bad, whatever the subject matter is, that's what I want. That's what I really actually enjoy. Even though I avoid it all the time because I'm afraid of it. I'm afraid something bad is gonna happen. But like I said, that fear is what makes it so much more exciting. Without the fear, we don't get the payoff of the excitement. That's why some people are really kinky, even though on the outside they seem very reserved and composed, right? It's that contrast. It's like, how can I break my sanctity to such an excessive degree that it just fucking penetrates me into my core? That contrast between light and darkness. That's what's exciting. That's why we're alive, really. We don't like to admit it. We like to be safe and comfortable, but deep down, we're all looking for that thrill, that connection, that expansion, that experience, that feeling, that depth of feeling. That's what God wants. And that's what we're here to experience as a proxy of God. As God, really. We're not just a proxy. We're just a piece of God and another antenna, another probe into consciousness and experiences, That's why we're here, and that's why it's fun. That's why it's fun. So fight. Fight. Fight for all you want to fight for. Because you know you actually enjoy it. Don't hold back.